It's possible in gCADPlus to create what are called nested blocks, and here's an example. If I select the block here, it's a title block that surrounds the sheet. There's a line on the sheet edge, which is a good idea, and inside that a border. But if so that's a block. If I say, as you would, I want to edit that block, and we jump in and I click on the block, preparing to edit it, I find that there's another block inside of this block, a nested block. So at this point, I'd close the block editor and unselect all and go back to the blocks here and just have a look through and see what's been done. So there's a block called APD title space one line border, and an almost identical block called APD title block one line. This one's got its base point down bottom left, the one we've just been using. This one here has its base point in the middle. So there's another one called title block A3, and that appears to be a piece of text, as is this one. So there's I think a need in this drawing to simplify things, and certainly not to have nested blocks. One block inside another with a name that's very similar is not a good idea. So what we'll do is explode. We'll dive in here, edit that first one, get into the next one and explode that, and now close the block editor, and now we should be able to, whenever we want to edit this block, just dive in here and say edit the block, and now we're able to edit it. So we've got rid of that nested block, one inside the other. It's not a bad idea to go to your close there, to go to the blocks and just have a look through here. One of these, this one here, is now able to be deleted. Let's delete all unused blocks in this drawing, and there were 65 of them, and I'll unselect. So now we're working in a much simpler way. We don't have one block inside the other. Some people, I've noticed, will use the same name of a block inside one another, and that's referred to as a circular reference, and that can certainly create some difficulty. Another thing I notice here, when we select the view here, the view angle is 90 degrees, 0 minutes and 0 seconds, and that implies that this drawing, the base, has come from the AutoCAD environment. And if we go to Format and Drawing Units, you can see its angular measurement is degree minutes and seconds. So that comes from the survey field, and we'd certainly want to bring that back to decimal degrees, and we'll say OK. So now when we pick that there, we've got that on a view scale of 800 and a view angle of 90. Now a view scale of 800 is difficult to work with. It doesn't meet Australian standards, where you would normally use 1 to 200, 1 to 500 and 1 to 1000. So we might have a look at seeing how we can change that. Well, I think the the simplest way to get this drawing displayed at a fixed scale that meets a standard is to swing to create another version of the drawing sheet. So I've created an A3 version of the sheet, and if we now select the floating viewport and have a look in the properties box, its view scale is now 500 and it's fixed. So we have a 1 to 500 scale display of the drawing on an A3 sheet. And I think that's easier to interpret than the 800 that we had previously. I've incorporated the scale bar through here, so that's now ready, I think, to print. Well, I'll take the simplest approach to printing and making a PDF file, and I'll simply go File and Save as PDF. I'll choose Window and a high level of resolution, and just click outside there and then down, and we'll overwrite one called Test on the desktop, and that will throw up my Acrobat reader. I can go to View and Full Screen Mode, and there we are. And if I zoom in a little and pan, I'm relatively happy with that. Any drawing that you print, of course, needs to be understandable on its own, and clearly the zone Z1, Z2, we need some sort of legend to define those, and maybe a few more notes around same screening area, entrance and so on. But I'm relatively happy with that approach. We have a 1 to 500 scale version of this rather excellent applied permaculture design.